Noni Madueke has agreed personal terms with Arsenal. 2 days ago and yesterday, I told you Madueke is open to making a move to Arsenal. Overnight, Enzo Maresca says, I'm happy with Madueke, with what he's doing, but who is not happy here, they can go. I don't want players who are not happy at Chelsea. And then Noni Madueke camp has reached an agreement with Arsenal on personal terms. The contract is ready, the contract is okay, everything is agreed between Madueke and Arsenal in terms of contract. Now depends on the clubs. Arsenal are preparing their opening bid for Noni Madueke. So Arsenal are working on it, Arsenal are preparing the proposal, and Arsenal are prepared to push with Chelsea in negotiations for Madueke. At the moment, the agreement is not even close because the two clubs are not talking as of today, as of Saturday. In the next days, very soon, Arsenal and Chelsea will be in contact for Madueke and discuss about the transfer fee, the value of the deal, and all the details of this story. So stay tuned because Arsenal are prepared to open talks with Chelsea after they reached an agreement with Noni Madueke. So I'm telling you every single step of this story. Then remember that Madueke is a separate story from Average Chiese, is a separate story from all the targets we are mentioning for Arsenal, and is a story that Arsenal are taking quite serious because they have reached an agreement with the player. Let's see now.
Welcome back to the Done Deal Show. Good morning to each and every single one of you. Make sure like buttons are hit. Make sure you're subscribing. You've got bell notification buttons turned on as well. Lots to go through this morning. Of course, we saw the breaking news last night. We went live with Noni Madueke agreeing personal terms with Arsenal Football Club. Fabrizio now confirming, as he mentions there, that Arsenal are set to send an opening bid for Noni Madueke after the agreement. That is due very soon indeed. Plus, we're talking Rodrygo, who has reportedly set Arsenal as his priority club. He's agreed with his representatives that's where he wants to go if he indeed leaves Real Madrid. Plus, and I think this is all interconnected massively to the Noni Madueke deal, Chelsea are seemingly set to try and hijack Tottenham in their approach for Mohamed Kudus. A £50 million bid has been placed and rejected. Spurs are expected to go back in, but Chelsea are also expected to try to go in and make a new offer for Mohamed Kudus as well. So lots of transfers to talk about. A little bit of a love-hate triangle going on here as well. But as ever, thank you all for tuning in. Please get the like button smashed if you haven't done so already. Make sure you get yourself subscribing to the Terrace, but get the bell notification button turned on as well. Really important to us. I know everyone likes, a lot of people have subscribed, but that button next to it, that bell notification, get that pressed. Very, very, very important to the Football Terrace that you get that done. I also want to give a big shout out to all of our recent members. You guys do an absolute amazing job for the Football Terrace, and I can't thank you guys enough. If you would also like to support, there is a link that is pinned to our live chat as well. But look, let's start with, I want to start with the Noni Madueke news and recap again. So we spoke about this last night, and we had this conversation last night, and how do I say this in the right way? I'm not a big supporter of this deal. I'm not looking at this and going, wow, amazing business. Based on the price that we as football fans are being told it is going to cost. We are being told that this deal is going to cost Arsenal between 50 to 60 million pounds. That element, I think, is too much money. I think it's far too lucrative for a player that, even if Rodrygo isn't signed, is not coming in as, all the reports are saying he's not coming in as a man to start. It very much means Martinelli will stay. And I just think it's too much money. I think he's a good player, Noni Madueke. I think he gives Arsenal's bench a little bit more strength. I think he can come on in the last 20 minutes of games, last 30 minutes, can help break lines. He can dribble past plays, a very good ball carrier. I'm not going to sit here and lie about those things, but I think at 50 to 60 million pounds, it's too much money. But what I think is really important to focus on, I saw a lot of Arsenal fans losing their minds last night. I understand why, and I get the frustration. But what I think is really important to remember is what Fabrizio has said as well. And he said it at the end of the video. Let's play that for you all again for everyone new that's tuning in that didn't see it. Listen to the last part here from Fabrizio, then we're going to talk about it in more detail.
Noni Madueke has agreed personal terms with Arsenal. 2 days ago and yesterday, I told you Madueke is open to making a move to Arsenal. Overnight, Enzo Maresca says, I'm happy with Madueke, with what he's doing, but who is not happy here, they can go. I don't want players who are not happy at Chelsea. And then, Noni Madueke camp has reached an agreement with Arsenal on personal terms. The contract is ready, the contract is okay, everything is agreed between Madueke and Arsenal in terms of contract. Now, depends on the clubs. Arsenal are preparing their opening bid for Noni Madueke. So Arsenal are working on it, Arsenal are preparing the proposal, and Arsenal are prepared to push with Chelsea in negotiations for Madueke. At the moment, the agreement is not even close because the two clubs are not talking as of today, as of Saturday. In the next days, very soon, Arsenal and Chelsea will be in contact for Madueke and discuss about the transfer fee, the value of the deal, and all the details of this story. So stay tuned because Arsenal are prepared to open talks with Chelsea after they reached an agreement with Noni Madueke. So I'm telling you every single step of this story. Then remember that Madueke is a separate story from Average Chiese, is a separate story from all the targets we are mentioning for Arsenal, and is a story that Arsenal are taking quite serious because they have reached an agreement with the player. Let's see now.
So as it says at the end, this is a separate deal from Eze. So I think, look, doesn't mean Arsenal fans have got to get on board with this and say, amazing, I'm buzzing. I think the price you pay plays a part. But it isn't right now, and this could change. But as of right now, it is not being reported as a separate deal to Eze, a separate deal to the strikers, a separate deal to Rodrygo. He speaks about Rodrygo in this video as well. We're going to play that for you a little bit later. And he kind of reiterates there the players we've already spoke to you about. So it doesn't appear as of right now that Arsenal were looking to get a deal done for Madueke and then drop interest in Eze's, Rodrygo's, or potential left-sided attackers. That being said, I still think 50 to 60 million pounds will be far too much. I think 20 to 25 million, at a push 30 for a player that is seemingly going to be a backup. But what I think is important, it's also been shared by a lot of aggregators. Read the bottom part of this. Madueke is a separate story from all the other targets we mentioned for Arsenal. So those were his words. And of course, he's spoken about Rodrygo as well. But I do understand the frustration from Arsenal fans. I get the annoyance. I understand the anger. And this is, what about a striker? I mean, they're negotiating on the striker. There's no evidence. And I did see a few Arsenal fans last night tweet saying, I don't care whatever other business we do this summer. If we get Madueke, I'm fuming. I can't forgive it. And I did think that was a little bit of a... I've seen a lot of gooners, and it's their football club, and I'm not telling them how to think and feel. But I'm telling you what I think of their tweets. We should sack anyone who does this deal. Doesn't matter what else we do this summer. It's a disaster if Madueke comes in. I agree that paying 50 to 60 million is too much, irrespective of his status. But if you do end up with Eze and Sesko and a Rodrygo on the left, with Zubimendi already coming in, with Norgard coming, you know, this really young Mosquera coming into the club, plus Madueke as a backup, I don't see what there is to be overly angry about. I mean, still, or actually, no, I get still not liking Madueke, but the idea of I'm going to write the whole summer off, I feel is a tad dramatic personally. A tad dramatic. But I absolutely understand why people say this particular one makes no sense. But there is absolutely zero evidence, big country, that Arsenal were looking at Madueke and thinking of dropping their interest in a number 9. And we have to be fair when this is being said. Smith here says, Terry Berta is low-key cooking, but I will be apparent here near the end of the window. But it will be apparent near the end of the window. Look, I think that if they get an automated Madueke for a much better price than Chelsea want, I still think 40 million is too much. But let's say it is 40 million. That is 10 to 20 million below Chelsea's demand right now. If they get him for 40, but they do land Rodrygo and they do land Eze and they do land Gyökeres, who's a better choice for a lot of Arsenal fans than Sesko, I don't think it's going to frustrate people as much. In reality, when the dust settles, when they're playing pre-season, if they start the season well, I don't think they're going to mind Noni Madueke being there. The same as if Kai Havertz would have been signed as the backup striker, but the number one striker was top class to world class, there wouldn't have been the backlash. Maybe a criticism of the money. But remember, most of the people that don't like Arteta are the same people that say, I don't care about the cost. And this is what you got to remember in your debates, just for your debates with each other. Most people that hate Arteta, most people that don't like the transfer business Arsenal do, also state, it's not my money. I don't want to be an accountant. So therefore, if Madueke signed for 60 million or 20 million, but uses a backup, they shouldn't care so much. I bet you they will. The money will matter to them this way round, right? I guarantee you right now, before anything's been said, if you get him for 50 million, but he ends up being fourth choice, they'll say it's too much money though. Yet, when other Arsenal fans say, I want the players at the right price, they say, well, it isn't our money. Why should we care? I guarantee you their hairy bum cracks come out on that one. But look, if he's your main winger purchase this summer, I agree, nowhere near the level that Arsenal should be aiming for. I absolutely agree with that entirely. Why are we getting Eze and Rodrygo foolishness? Sorry, why? That doesn't make sense. Why are they, do you mean? Or why are we? I don't know who you support. Why would you not look to do that? It's not foolishness to improve your squad that way. If they end up, right, forget Madueke. If they end up with Rodrygo and Eze plus a number 9, it's on paper one of the best transfer windows in their club's history. What would there be to criticize about it? It wouldn't make any sense to criticize them about that. What does this do for Nwaneri's game time? This is the main issue. We finally found the Saka backup last year after years, and now we want to sign one for 50 million when we have an urgent issue to fix. Well, listen, Mo, it's a really good super chat. But I think what you're doing here, potentially, you may end up being right, but there's the potential here for reductionism. There is nothing wrong with filling your squad full of quality and telling a young player to raise his game to that level. I've said it about my club, so I'm going to keep the same energy for Arsenal. I don't believe in this, we can't buy people that improve our squad because of the gateway path. It's also been well documented, Mo, that Arsenal Football Club and Nwaneri, they see him and he sees himself more as an 8 and a 10. At the same time, yes, you can give him game time, but if there is an opportunity to sign someone like an Eze to add to that midfield, you do it. And if Nwaneri is good enough, he'll get his chances and he'll impress and he'll get game time. So I don't think you should not block a pathway of a player per se. If they're good enough, they'll rise to the top. If they're good enough, they'll break through. If they're good enough, they'll do it in training. They'll do it in their game. If they don't have the appetite to compete, if they think it should just be handed to them, they're not right for your football club anyway. I'm not saying that's Nwaneri. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. What I would be more concerned about is if you sign Madueke and that's your main wide attacking signing this summer, that's a problem because I don't think he moves the needle enough. I think, though, signing Eze, Rodrygo, adding Madueke in as a backup, I don't see that as a negative. I don't think it's a negative that it makes it harder, that it means Nwaneri has to get to an even higher level, that he has to perform more consistently. I don't think that's a bad standard to set. That is, by the way, everyone who's Standards FC should be getting their old boy out and having a right tug to that one, because that's exactly the standards that they want to see. And I agree with it. That element of standards, I agree with. As a United fan, I don't want this, but I don't want to buy a good midfielder because I want Mainu to develop. Well, I want to buy a good midfielder and see if Mainu can develop alongside him. Paul Scholes did it. Ryan Giggs had competition. Wayne Rooney joined Man United and we had one of the best number 9s in the world at our football club in Ruud van Nistelrooy. We consistently bought wide players and attackers and people that would challenge each other's positions. You've got to do that in football. You've got to do it. Chelsea fans are actually, what does it say here? Chelsea fans are actually believe Nwaneri will go to Chelsea. When will Nwaneri get game time at Chelsea? I know he is better than Esteval, but still. Yeah, look, I don't think Chelsea fans actually think they're going to pull it off, if I'm being honest. I think Chelsea fans are winding Arsenal fans up, which is their right to do. I also think Arsenal will get the job done and get it signed. But doesn't mean we're going to ignore the story, because that would be hypocritical of me. Terry, Arsenal don't run like that. We don't go and get the best players. I hear your skepticism, and that is why I understand there are Arsenal fans that are treading very carefully with this story, not getting carried away. I can only report the news. I'll give my opinions on it as well, but I can only report what is being reported and put out there what's being said. And as of right now, there are statements claiming that these things could happen. Interestingly, we look at this story here. This comes from the hand of Arsenal that says intermediaries with a direct mandate from Saudi clubs have been told in no uncertain terms that Rodrygo's preference is to move to the Premier League, with Arsenal his absolute priority in case a deal can be struck with Real Madrid. And the Rodrygo deal hasn't disappeared for the entirety of this summer. It's just been here the whole time. And I still think when it comes to all of Arsenal's targets, even more clarity will be given to us, will be presented once the Club World Cup is over. I understand that Arsenal, I get the frustration with Arsenal fans because none of the major signings, I mean, Zubimendi's already in. I think he's going to be announced today, I read somewhere. You've kind of done the fringe players first, so there was a little bit of nervousness hanging around. But I think this would be one of the biggest mistakes in Arsenal Football Club's recent history if they now don't from here go on to deliver a very successful summer with some Eze's and Rodrygo and Šeško-esque players. It may not be all of them, but of the level that makes you excited. Because the way they've spoken, Fabrizio has said this, I think, on 3 occasions, Arsenal fans should be excited. It's going to be a massive summer. You're linked to all these really good players. You sign the fringe guys. You're looking at Madueke, which is triggering people. Arsenal do have to end this window well. I think they have to end this window in a way where their fans can sort of say, I'm happy with that. Fair enough. I was a little nervous. I was a little bit woo. Pick up Tom Skinner. But at least they could walk away and say, we've got a really good job done in the end. So I get your cynicism. I suppose for me as a United fan, if you pull it off, great. Well done, you. If you don't, it's no skin off my nose. So I don't have the nerves you have. So I do have to learn to understand that maybe a little bit better. Romano has been pinning hand of Arsenal for most of the transfer window. What do you mean pinning? Pinning it in what way? I need to know what you mean by that, my friend. Maybe I don't understand the colloquialism within that term. Let's go to some of your super chats here. First one says, why is the Mbeumo deal quiet now? Because there isn't anything more to report on it, Adele. There is nothing more to report on the Mbeumo deal. The outline of the fee has been pretty much agreed. The structure of the deal is now being discussed. The player only wants Man United. There is going to be no hijacks. Yes, I would have loved the deal to have been confirmed today and announced by now. But from United's perspective, there is no new news. There is not. What can the media say other than they're discussing the legalities of it and they're getting the structure right? I wish we got it done quicker. I agree with that. But there isn't anything more they can add to this deal. As in the media, it's done. As far as it's 95% done. It's just the last little bits, the boring bits that no one ever cares about. Is there any reason why Arsenal and Chelsea sell to each other so much? United fans and others buying Mount, I'll never buy from a top 5-6 club. Look, Arsenal and Chelsea have a horrible relationship off the pitch, fans, but the clubs actually get on really well. And have done for many years. So I'm not overly surprised to see it, if I'm being absolutely blunt with you. But it's only frustrating when you're not buying them. I mean, if Arsenal today were getting Palmer or Caicedo, I think they'd be buzzing. Reports Martinelli, Trossard, Reece, Vieira, and Sterling are leaving. Arsenal are going for 4 players. I mean, they could all go. I mean, what would be an upgrade? Let me list this now. I'm going to include Madueke. Madueke in, Rodrygo in, Eze in, Šeško in, but it means Trossard and Martinelli leave. Vieira's already gone. You kind of replace. Vieira was never really replaced, so you're replacing him there. Plus, you don't have a number 9, so he comes in. Like, surely you see that as an upgrade. Trossard and Martinelli leave, and incoming is Šeško, Madueke, Rodrygo, and Eze. I don't see how any Gooner could be upset by that. So please, if I'm wrong about that, I'm open to it. But you've got to explain to me why I'm wrong to think that's an upgrade on the attacking line. Me personally, it feels like an upgrade. People here saying sell Trossard, keep Martinelli as backup. But you're not going to need Martinelli as a backup because Rodrygo's better than him. Eze's better than him. And I think, well, look, I showed you look, he's got different attributes that he's better than Madueke at. But when you compare the two of them, there isn't a great deal of difference. There isn't a great deal of difference. But Eze and Rodrygo are both better than him. So for me, I said this before. There's a podcast. I don't have to release this clip of it. And I said this a few weeks ago, and I'll say it again. Selling Martinelli, I think, sends a message into that dressing room for the current squad. Fucking hell, we're replaceable. And I think that improves everybody. Noni and Havertz for 100+ million. Arteta's talent ID. I mean, look, what I'm going to... Listen, I don't know who you support, Lano. What I do find hilarious, I'm enjoying watching this, genuinely, is the Chelsea fans who are protected, praised, bigged up, and loved Noni for 2 years. Now they're saying, haha, Arsenal have got bad talent ID. All you're telling me is to never trust you in a debate ever again. Who do you support? Let me know, bruv. I'm confident that Waneri will sign a deal at Arsenal. Lewis Skelly will probably convince him to stay because they are good friends. Look, I think he'll stay, personally. He might not, but I personally think he'll stay. This here says, Madueke is not Arsenal level. They should have signed world-class wingers like Rodrygo. But this is the thing, bro. This is why you've got to read all the stories before we make overarching statements. According to Fabrizio Romano, this is separate from Rodrygo, separate from Eze, separate from the strikers. So therefore, I hear your point, but until the credible journalists start to tell us, or the credible news outlets start to tell us that Arsenal have dropped interest in Eze, they've dropped interest in Gordon, they've dropped interest in Rodrygo, and they're aiming for Noni Madueke only, I think only then will I be able to turn around and go, that's completely horrendous. I don't think it's right at 50 million, even if he's fourth choice. I think you could better spend that money on a backup elsewhere. I think there are cheaper alternatives that could be backups that are in and around the same level that you could scout and find. Everything's great, Terry, but we cannot get, but we can get a better price on Noni Madueke. And I hear you. You should be able to get a better price, no doubt. If Arsenal signed Madueke from Brighton, no one would care. It's because it's another signing from Chelsea. Yeah, I think that's part of it. Joshua here says, whenever journalists say the deal is separate, it's usually because clubs want to keep both deals alive and not upset one party, when in reality they'll only sign one. That's really true in some cases, other than the fact that they both play on the same sides, but one wants to be on the left, one wants to probably be on the right. Arsenal are also operating away right now with two out-and-out nines, where they're fighting for both. But it's very well publicized that it's only one they're going to sign. So that where I would only counter your point with Arsenal is nowhere have I read this summer that they're looking at two strikers. What I have read consistently is that they're looking at multiple wide players or a wide player and a 10. So, I mean, look, you may be right. And as I've said, I'm not sitting here saying it's the gospel truth. They may end up with Madueke and Eze. And I still would put that money towards Rodrygo. However, maybe the media is behind what's going on in reality. Maybe Rodrygo's already said no to Arsenal. Maybe the Hand of Arsenal report that we've shared today is wrong. All things are doable. We should sell both Martinelli and Trossard. Well, if you get all your main targets in, then I absolutely agree with you. One of the other big stories as well, people, that broke last night was that Tottenham are set to bid again for Mohamed Kudus next week, as the player's keen to join Spurs. Chelsea have also been in touch with Kudus' camp, with more clubs also interested. But Spurs want to accelerate. Thomas Frank has already approved the Kudus as a key target. And I know one of the other big fears when it comes to this deal that I see from Arsenal fans, why I know it exists, is there is this petrified view of, imagine we give them 50 million for Noni, and then they go and land Kudus. Because again, Kudus is an alternative that I'd be going for over Noni Madueke. I really would. Versatile, can play multiple positions. I think he's got that Prem-proven touch in the sense of, for the right price, I don't think there's a big risk of him not delivering. because we've seen him do it here, or the risk is at least reduced. But Mohamed Kudus is there. Plus, though, what's interesting with this Kudus deal is Chelsea, because Chelsea are linked with a hijack on this deal. Chelsea have been linked by the ex-West Ham employee. That's a very credible sort of in-the-know source when it comes to West Ham. And he has basically stated on a number of occasions that I want to make sure I can find this. Let me just find this now, because I want to make sure I read it properly. Let me give it a little go. By the way, people, get the like button smashed, please. Get that done for us right now. Get yourself subscribing also. Where is this? No, it's not that one. I saw the report last night. Let me just put in X. Let me just see if I can find this. Sorry, people. Just trying to find this now. Maybe it was a fake quote that someone made about the ex-West Ham employee. Because sometimes people do that, don't they? I don't know why they do it, but people like to do it. I can't find him. Oh no, I have. Oh no, he's got a new. No, that's not him. Anyway, I'll try and find it later. Maybe you guys in the comments have probably seen it, especially Chelsea fans. But it was sort of reported that the ex-West Ham employee expects Chelsea to go back in. I definitely read it last night. I just stupidly haven't. Oh, here it is. I found it. It says West Ham are confident that Chelsea will submit a better offer for Kudus than Tottenham's current bid. It is also hoped that other clubs will join the competition as well, because West Ham don't want to sell Kudus. They do not want to sell Mohamed Kudus to Spurs if they can help it. So West Ham are sort of highly confident right now that Chelsea will come in and make a bid. So I totally get why Arsenal fans are sitting there and going, hang on. He's better than Noni Madueke. And we might help Chelsea fund that deal. I absolutely understand the frustration that comes with that. I really, really do. I really, really do. Someone here has just wrote the word Platten goal. I think you mean Plattenberg, right? What's he said? Oh, yeah, that's his sorry. What's he saying? Oh, let's have a little look. Oh, here he says Tottenham are pushing to sign Mohamed Kudus. Negotiations with West Ham are ongoing. The 24-year-old winger is very open to move into Spurs. His agency is leading the negotiations. There are many options, but Tottenham really want him. Saudi clubs are also interested, but his goal has always been to move and play against stay in the highest level in Europe. That'll really trigger Staffy. Yeah, Spurs leading the race right now. It'll be gutting for Spurs if they miss out. Genuinely will be gutted. Spurs will be. They've missed so many targets. Semenyo signed a new deal. Mbeumo said no twice. They now lose Kudus to another rival. That will not be good news. That will not be good news for them at all. Carl here says Kudus rejecting Chelsea for Spurs. Well, no, I'm going to be fair here. Chelsea have Chelsea made a big attempt for him yet? Maybe. I don't think they've. I think if Chelsea get the bid accepted, I think if Chelsea push for Kudus, he's definitely picking Chelsea over Tottenham, personally. But where you could be right is maybe he does view Tottenham as giving him more game time. Maybe he thinks, I can't get in over Palmer. I can't get in over, they're just trying to get in for big money. Neto's established. Maybe he looks at Tottenham and just thinks, yeah, that's the one for me. Can you read? Not particularly well. I'm dyslexic, but what's up? Oh, you went, no hijack, my son. All right, bro, chill out. Nice son. You'd get in front of me and ask for a selfie, you mug. So funny. Chelsea haven't bid yet. I know they haven't bid yet. Look, and Spurs can get him an excellent signing if Spurs pull this off. But I'm not going to sit there and be like, yeah, you know what? If Chelsea come in, he's definitely rejecting them. Spurs. I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's a guarantee of that, personally. Some people think there is. I don't think there's a guarantee that happens. Just my view, just my opinion. People see it differently. That's just my view. Let's have a look at some more of your comments here. It was an informal bid of 50 million that was rejected, Terry. No, I don't do it. I don't care. Informal bid, formal bid, same fucking thing, bruv. I'm probably the only United fan, but I want us to overload the striker position with youth. Keep Rasmus, Obi, and 2 young ones. They can fight, grow, and could scare football. With up the next gen. Yeah, I think we need experience, mate. I understand keeping some of the youngsters. I would like Obi to stay and get game time and everything else. But from my point of view and perspective, I think we need experience in that position. I think having experience in those roles is absolutely imperative. I've seen this story before. Spurs agree a fee for Kudus. Chelsea sell Madueke. Why do these fucking comments move? They get on my nerves. I need to speak to people that develop this. When I click on a comment, I need it to stay on the screen, not to move, because I lost it and now I can't find it again. And I legitimately can't. There we go. They sell Madueke, hijack Kudus, and Spurs left with egg on their face. Oh, Glenn here says Arsenal are ready to improve their offer for Victor Gyökeres. However, they're still expected to fall around 10 million short of Sporting's asking price. Fair enough. Why would you want to keep Rasmus? Come on now. I'd love you to explain that in more detail, why you would want to do that. But listen, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions. This is what Fabrizio had to say about Rodrygo to Arsenal. Let's take a little listen to this.
The Gunners, then we have to see the eventual conditions of the deal, what Rodrygo wants to do, because remember, as I always repeat to you, the decision of Rodrygo would be crucial to understand what's going to happen for his future. Is the player deciding is this case? And Real Madrid are waiting to understand what's the position of the player. Real Madrid are not closing the doors of Rodrygo exit this summer, but it's Rodrygo who has to decide what he wants to do. Rodrygo is aware of Arsenal appreciation of Arsenal interest, but still no concrete negotiations taking place because everything will happen after the FIFA Club World Cup. And so we will see what's going to happen with Rodrygo, if other clubs will join the race, but for sure Arsenal remain very attentive, very interested in the situation, waiting to understand the eventual conditions of the deal for Rodrygo. Before I started,
I think that's really interesting to understand as well. You know, there are reports out there that Rodrygo wants Arsenal. We've shared them already today. When it comes to Fab's update, this is why if I was an Arsenal fan right now, I would be frustrated at the price quoted at Madueke, but I wouldn't be getting my bum crack out. I wouldn't be losing my mind completely right now. That's what I wouldn't be, because you haven't been ruled out of the race for your main target. The conversations will only begin after Real Madrid's exit, or of course crowning champions of the Club World Cup, which is about a week away. So until that point, it's difficult to know what else is going to happen. People are entitled to react how they want. Feel free to. But personally, I just keep the powder dry about my club. You know, we're seeing this with Man United at the moment, and I'll be back on the United stand next week, and I want to talk about this there in more detail. But I've seen a lot of United fans that love Rashford turning on Cunha already. And I'm telling you now, there's Man United fans that are going to be on his neck every time he makes a mistake. And I just think this is a disgusting way to behave as a fan, because you're creating a narrative that the media will jump on and rival fans will jump on for no reason. I don't think it helps your club. I don't think it's supportive in any way. And I sometimes look at, and in a much less serious scenario, I look at Arsenal's transfer window like that. And I think, criticize Madueke at 50 million, by all means, I'm doing it. I'm not even an Arsenal fan. But the idea of, I saw one tweet yesterday, which was, I'm slightly paraphrasing, but it was, I don't care what else we do this summer. If this deal happens, I'm done with the club. I'm like, but you might have an amazing summer. One player in there you might not rate, but the rest of it's amazing. I don't quite get why that would write off everything, unless you want to set it up. You want to set up negativity on purpose. That's the only way that would make sense to me, because I don't believe any real Arsenal fan, even if they're angry today, if they end up with Šeško and Rodrygo and Eze added to this line, plus Zubimendi, I don't think any Arsenal fans going into this season going, we've got a really shit squad. We're in trouble. I can't imagine. The anger will subside. There's no doubt about it in my mind. But that's just my view. I'd love to get your opinions on all these stories today. We're going to share the link for you guys to phone in and have your say on the show. I'm going to put that into the live chat because I'd like to hear from you all. You'll see it going in a second. If you want to give your opinion, call in. Give us your thoughts. We want to hear what you think about the Rodrygo situation. Want to know what your thoughts are on the updates, even from yesterday, on the Noni Madueke deal. Plus, Spurs fans, Chelsea fans, the race, the pursuit of Mohamed Kudus. Give us your thoughts. Give us your feelings. Give us your opinions. Rashford was done when the shirt number was stripped. Oh, yeah, everyone with a brain knows this. You know, everybody knows this. It's like Rashford had already removed Man United from his bios, was already telling the club he didn't want to come back. He's had his agent for 18 months looking for a new club. But yet Man United are arseholes for taking his number 10 shirt away. Doesn't make any sense. If you work for me at the Football Terrace, you're one of my editors, but you've told me you're looking for a new job. You told me you want to leave. And I turn around and go, we don't have a workspace because everyone works from home. But if there's a promotion I didn't put you forward for it and you cried, I'd tell you to stop being a little bitch. You told me you were leaving. Why'd I put you up for a promotion? Why does Rashford deserve the number 10 starting shirt when he's told us he doesn't want to be here? I love Rashford. I love what he's done. I've got no personal issue with him. But imagine starting an agenda against your own player. I'll tell you why they're starting an agenda against their own player. Because I call it the safety net approach. It's for anyone who's desperate for attention online. Now, all of us as YouTubers get accused of only doing what we do for likes and attention. And that's fair. That's fair. Every one of us, ironically, every one of us is accused by fans of other YouTubers that we only do it for likes and attention. It's kind of ironic in many ways. But I do think those nameless big profiles that you get on Twitter, some of the TikTok people, what they now seem to do is every year there is this thing of, right, I'm going to be positive about most things, but I'm going to set up a couple of negative agendas, like Cunha getting the number 10. And then if Cunha starts badly, I can say, look, I got it from the start, and I can join that party and we can rinse into him, and it's something to be negative about. If he starts really well, they'll just drop and plays well, they'll just drop their agenda. They'll probably change their profile to Cunha stands. But it's just this sort of approach every year, and every fan base has it where I've got to find something to like be really angry about. And the problem is this one just ain't it, bruv. There's other things that you can be annoyed about, but Rashford losing his shirt number, starting an agenda against a brand new player, I don't think that's the actions of a supporter of this football club. Ignoring that Rashford has been pushing for this move for 18 months. Crazy. Fucking crazy. Terry, what you said, just like Hassam with Slot. The thing was different with Hassam, and maybe I'm biased here because I know Hassam, but he said it, changed his mind and addressed it. Like, there are people that clip me up and put me on the internet for when I think I once said something about Rasmus Højlund that he reminds me of a young Alan Shearer. I think I said something along those lines. I stand by what I said at the time. Watching his videos, the way watching him in Italy, the way he would hold the ball up. I watched a few of his goals for Denmark and Atalanta, and the way he used to come on late to the ball reminded me of Alan Shearer. And it did remind me of Alan Shearer. Doesn't mean I think he's as good as Alan Shearer, but I hold that L for making that mistake. I'll always address an opinion that I've had that's wrong. And I've had thousands that are wrong. But I've also had thousands that are right. But people don't subscribe to you because you always have the right opinions. People subscribe to you for your logic, for the way you communicate, for the community that you create, and that's it. But there are some people that will give an opinion and they'll never yield. They will never, ever yield and say, I got that wrong. Someone made a clip of me the other day and put it out. This was from in this studio here when it looked very different. This was 2020, I think. And I was basically saying, there's no way Arteta can survive. He must be sacked. And someone kind of clicked it and put it on Twitter and was like, what do you got to say to this now? So, well, I addressed this 3 years ago publicly, but I was like, yeah, I got it wrong. But some people will say I'm still right? Because they don't think Arteta should be there. So, but no, I got it wrong. He turned things around and I didn't see it coming, and I addressed that. And what? And that's what you got. So I'm giving these examples about myself to talk about Hassam. Sam admitted he got it wrong. My point is this. Some people will start this Cunha agenda now. They'll jump on board and say it's great if he starts well. But as soon as things start to go wrong, they'll be straight back on this agenda. That's a different type of human being. That's an animal. That isn't a human being. That's animal behavior, bruv. It's as simple as that for me. I'm actually going to do a video, though, where I found about 30 videos that people have made of me by trolls. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to like 8 Mile it, and I'm going to react to my own bad takes, because I think that's going to be quite a fun thing to do. I wonder, and it'll be like, how bad were the takes? And actually, contextually, were they right? And that's the thing with it. A lot of the time, contextually, they're right at the time. But we're going to react to them, because some people are like, oh, Terry never addresses his mistakes. I do all the time. I get one of the worst accusations towards me is I don't admit when I'm wrong. You've always got an answer. So, of course, I've always got an answer, because I can always explain to you why I think what I think. This is my genuine message, little life lesson for the day. Be very wary of someone that can't explain why they think the way they think. Be very wary of someone that cannot explain why they believe something. Those people are dangerous. On every level. They're dangerous to have in your friends group. They're often not very nice people. They run agendas. That agenda one day could be against you. If they go, why are you asking me? Straight away, it's a red flag to go, get that person out of your life, bruv. Freaks. They're proper weirdos if they are reluctant to explain themselves. Especially if someone in a friendly environment, right? And if you, by the way, if you're putting yourself on the internet to give opinions, if you're not open to explain why you think something, it's a red flag, because your job is there to explain yourself. You're giving opinions, right? So for me, I can always explain why I think something. I'm very open to saying I'm wrong. But there we go. Let's move on. We're going to take some calls from you guys in a moment. A few super chats first. This here says, Arsenal fans, we need a Saka backup. We get a Saka backup. Arsenal fans, why are we signing him? There is I think as a backup, but again, I'm not going to yield on what I've said. I think as a backup, he'll do a good job. I think the money's too much, but I'm consistent when it comes to the money. I think fans should always worry about how much they're spending. Isn't it ironic that I'm not an accountant, it's not my money merchant, so I care about the money now? As you can always say, when people have bad logic, you nearly always know that bad logic is connected to a lie or an agenda. Nearly always. Nearly always. I don't always agree with people's opinions. Sam, when he said he didn't like Slot, I got his logic at the time, though. It wasn't illogical that he believed that. Difference. Logic versus illogical behavior. And yeah, someone who like goes from money don't matter, not my money, to how dare we spend that much? That should be a red flag for you to go, your brain should go, there we go, is a problem. I'm probably the only United fan, but I want, sorry, you all did that super chat. We did that. Maybe it came up twice. Did it? No, sorry, it just came back to the top of my list. Apologies. Morning to Mama Flossie and to Lou. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This here says, I read an article that Chelsea players are always up for sale. That includes their top players. Chelsea are slowly becoming a selling club. You can laugh now, but in a few years' time, you'll be sad, is what Sadiq says here. But there's no evidence they're going to sell their best players, is there? And yes, I'll be watching PSG Real Madrid. Of course I will. That'll be a great, great game. Why do you think Arsenal will spend 300 million euros? Madueke obviously takes money from Eze or Rodrygo. Why do I think they'll spend that many million euros? I mean, they've got the money, but let's add the prices up. Is it going to come to that much? Is that pounds you're putting or euros? Okay, 300 million euros. What is that in pounds? Because that's also very, very important to remember. Euros to pounds. That's 258 million. Could Arsenal spend that? Let's just go and have a little look on their biggest ever summer spendings. The summer that they bought Declan Rice, they spent only £20 million less than that. So is it plausible they go that far? Maybe. Especially if the news that is true about Martinelli maybe going to Saudi. Plus, let's see what they actually get. Let's see what the actual price is for players. Do I think right now they're going to pay the maximum price for all these players that are being quoted? No. I think Berta's a little bit better than that. So do I think they could spend 230, 240 million? Potentially. Potentially, they could go that high, but we will see. We will see. Good challenge though, very good challenge. Right, let's go to some of your calls that are coming in here today. We've got No Chaser TV coming on with us first. Let me just get my overlay ready so I can switch it. Welcome to the show, mate. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Calling in. Let everyone know you support, please, bro.
I'm an Arsenal fan, Terry.
Good. Is that how you feel today? Sad about it? Talk to me, brother.
Nah,
Talk to me.
you know what, mate? I'll be honest. It all does depend on what happens by the end of the window. I'd say, if I'm to judge Noni Madueke now, I don't think this is the right deal to do personally. We definitely need backup for Saka, but I would also argue that Ethan was adequate backup to Saka last season, although he did have a burnout. And his preferred position is the 8/10 role. But I think spending 50 million, if we do it, which by the way, I don't think we'll do, I think it would be probably about closer to 40, 45 if Chelsea agreed to it. That's what we'll want to do. Otherwise, I don't think it's a good deal personally. But if it means we get Rodrygo, Eze, Sesko or Gyökeres, as well as the players we've already got like Zubimendi, Norgard, Kepa, then Madueke might not be so bad. But if we don't get those main targets, then this isn't good.
Mate, I agree with you 100%. I do agree with you. I think at the right price, it's a good backup deal, as you say though. But if he's the main winger that you buy, and especially if you buy him and you sell Martinelli, if it goes that way, it's got the potential to be horrible, if that makes sense.
Definitely. The thing is, for me though, I don't see us looking at Madueke as a main left winger, because if I'm right, Arteta doesn't want a left-footed player on that side. He wouldn't. I don't see why he'd want that. Maybe he's had a change of heart, but so far we haven't seen any evidence of it. So I see it being left-footed on the right, right-footed on the left, and to bring in Madueke to be the main left winger now, it just doesn't make sense.
Listen, I agree with you. I don't see it making sense. For me, I think worst case it's going to be Madueke and Eze. Yeah. I think best case it's Madueke, Eze, Rodrygo. I do get the previous caller's point, the super chat that came on that sort of said, do you really think Chelsea, Arsenal will get close to spending 300 million euros? That's the big question. For all of this to come off, it would have to be your biggest summer ever.
I think it needs to be, though. We can't finish second 3 years in a row and then not try and go all out. I think it's got to be all or nothing at this point for me personally. I'm a big fan of Arteta. I think he's done a lot to change this club in the time that he's been here, but I can also criticise where necessary. And 5 years, no trophy is not good enough for a club like Arsenal. We need to be winning trophies, and we've already neglected the smaller trophies like the FA Cup and the Carabao. So now we've got to that point where those type of trophies won't be enough for the fans. So we need the big ones. We need either the Prem or the Champions League. Or in my opinion, for Arteta to remain in position, he has to win one of those two big trophies or both domestic trophies next season for him to be considered like to stay and renew his contract.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair, mate. I wanted to ask you this question, just your view. What I do find interesting is the Arsenal fans who over the last, say, 4 months have been the most vocal that this has to be the biggest summer ever, statement summer, buying top players. Why do they seem to be the first fans that when they see the links go, no way that's happening, it's all bullshit, we won't do that? Yet it's almost like they get the links to the summer they want. And I'm not saying they should say, there we go, it's 100% happening. But it's almost like you're at least talking to all these players and there still doesn't seem to be any excitement or, okay, well, at least they've started off doing the right thing. It's just, we need to do it, but we won't. You're doing it, it won't come off, or it's the wrong players. It always seems to, do you think that's like a PTSD thing? It
definitely is. I was going to say, it's just past trauma. We've had 20 years of neglect, if you like. Yeah. We feel like we're a team that should be competing for these trophies and these big titles, and we haven't been up until now. Yeah, so it's definitely just the PTSD, in my opinion. I think, I can't lie, some days I wake up and I'm like, oh, come on, guys, surely we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that, or we can't do this, we can't do that. I don't believe that we'll spend 300 million. And what I've been reading, is it euros or is it pounds that they were saying? Because
that was euros, so it comes to about 250 million pounds.
I think we need to spend more.
Hmm.
If you look at it, Eze is going to cost, if we go by just the release clause, 68 million. Okay, we might pay it in installments with an 8 million add-ons. Then we've got Rodrygo. He's going to be somewhere in the region of 76 to 80 million in pounds, yeah?
Mm.
Then we've got Gyökeres or Sesko, either one. I think it'll probably be Gyökeres at this point, but he's roughly about 68 million, 69 million pounds. We've got Zubimendi, who we've already spent 55 million on. Norgard, I think the total is with the add-ons is roughly 12 to 15 million.
Mm.
Then Kepa, that's 5 million, and whatever we pay for Noni Madueke. But that I did the maths earlier, and that totaled up to about 338 million pounds.
Whoa!
I can't see that.
Yeah, that's true. Do you know, it's very true. It's a lot. The only way I see that happening, and this is where you're gonna have to sell a couple of players as well.
Yeah, if Trossard or Martinelli goes, then it doesn't look so bad. More so Martinelli, because we'll get more for him. But if I had to choose between the two, I'd sell Trossard because of the age. There's no resale value in him if we renew his contract for another 2-3 years. Whereas Martinelli still has time to grow, although for the last 2 seasons he hasn't been to the best of his ability. But I still believe in him. I think he can still turn it around. And I think the competition of having someone like a Rodrygo on that side will wake him up a little bit. I also see. Sorry, go on. I was going to say. I also see Eze being the 8/10 more than the left winger. But obviously, if we need him to play at left wing, then we can do that. But he looks much better in that middle position. I don't see him being a winger for us.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Look, and I think you're right. I mean, it does need to be the biggest summer ever. They do need to pull this off. And I think one thing it would do, especially if the signings do well for you, is it might just make, and this is why I ask the questions. People often see it as defending Arsenal. It isn't. It's about learning. I'm not an Arsenal fan, so I don't have the PTSD. I don't have all that. So I just look and go, that's a good link. That's a good link. That's a good play. You're working on that. Fair enough. That's you know what I mean? So I just look at it very straight-laced as a point. One thing I've said all along, though, is that you're going to have to sell players to make this work, because you can't even, I don't even think you can add all these players in and make the squad that polluted. I think you also need to move a few people on. No, and I think it's important, bro, to move people on so that you create that little bit of, like, Martinelli goes, that's a regular first teamer for the last 3 years. He's gone. That sends a message to Saka, Odegaard, Saliba, everybody. You do. And all the best clubs. I actually think for Real Madrid, I think what Alonso's doing with Rodrygo is going to make them a better team. Not because Rodrygo is bad, but it shows every Madrid. This is someone the fans loved. This was a stalwart in the team. He's gone straight away. And they're actually looking nice and balanced at the moment, Real Madrid. There's a nice flow to them. But this is what happens. And the best managers ever have always been ruthless with their first team players. And you bring others in, and it often, that pressure can burst pipes or it can create diamonds. And I think that's what you guys have got to do. And look, it's going to be a very interesting summer, to say the least, bro. Listen, thank you for calling in. Make sure you do it again, bro. I appreciate that, man. Really good call.
Definitely.
Thank you, my guy. Thank you. Take care. Speak soon. Thank you.
Speak soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Next on the show, I'm going to try. I'll butcher your name if I try it, mate. What's your name, brother?
It's Simi Lolua, but just Simi is fine. Simi is fine.
Simi Lolua. Okay, cool. Who do you support, mate?
Liverpool.
Liverpool. What are you here to say, brother?
It's about the Madueke deal, right? And I think more on why a lot of clubs are not clocking what Chelsea is doing, because I think one of the reasons that they can spend this much money is because they are able to sell well. Mm-hmm. So I wonder why clubs like United or Arsenal keep buying from them and enabling them to spend more money. That's something that is really strange, because if you look at Madueke stats, it's not spectacular, right? So if Arsenal needs a backup right winger, go get Bakayoko. I mean, they love Real Sociedad so much. Go get Kubo, right? Do not give these Chelsea boys even extra money to do what they're doing, because with the deals that they have done, Pedro, things like that, people are not deep in this, but Chelsea are going to be up there with everybody this season.
Mm.
So do not give them more money to spend. That's really my gripe with all this, because Madueke is a very good player. I'm not going to I don't doubt that, but you can always get these guys from somewhere else. Right? That's just my idea.
Look, I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and that's also an area that I back Arsenal fans on that are complaining. Madueke is not. I was having a discussion with Staffy yesterday because he was saying, "Is Madueke a good signing because he's prem proven?" And I get what Staffy's digging at. There are people that just throw the word. You know straight away what people mean when they say prem proven. That's when you're deliberating between two really good players, two players at the same level, one from inside your league, one from outside your league. A lot of people want the prem proven player because they don't have to move house, repatriate. If they're young, especially moving to a foreign land can be difficult, etc. Obviously, he's being a bit facetious. But this is one of those moments where I look at it and go, Madueke is a good player. But I think, as you mentioned two there yourself off the top of your head, that would be as good a backup to Bukayo Saka. But you're not giving money to help Chelsea's cause. And I think that is, look, one of the reasons I think every football fan in the world should reject the notion of buying kits for other football clubs, especially if you compete against them in the same country or in Europe, is why are you helping them another? When people buy PSG shirts, yep, some of them have looked amazing, but why? Just think about all the millions of people that have bought those PSG shirts. You have all helped them in their financial endeavor to become European champions.
Exactly.
So I just don't believe in helping any. If I was in Paris, do you want to go do a tour of the stadium? No, it's going to give them money. I wouldn't do a tour of any club stadium. I'm not giving that club any of my money. Equally, I get the argument. Giving Chelsea £50 million here will enable them to make a profit on Noni and to invest further in their squad. So I think you're right. For this to work for Arsenal, Madueke has got to come in, even as a backup, and be brilliant to soften that blow. If he comes in and is just average and Chelsea go and get Kudus and he's amazing,
exactly,
that is going to hurt. You're bang on, mate. You're bang on.
They have Esteval. Now they want to get Kudus. They have this Quenda boy that nobody even remembers, Quenda coming in. They have João Pedro. They have Jamie Gittins. Why are you giving them more money to do this? Like, people don't understand what Chelsea is doing, and I don't know why people keep falling for it. I don't understand. For example,
mate, listen, I hear you. So go on.
I think one of the reasons why Liverpool went quickly for Viet is because if they do not go for that, Manchester City was going to get him, and that would be strengthening the rival, which is one of the reasons they went for him. So it's not enough to strengthen your squad. If you have the opportunity to weaken your rival, do it. But at the very least, do not strengthen them, please. Do not.
Yeah, listen, I hear you, and you're saying that from a Liverpool fan perspective. I do hear you on that massively. I do, bro. Thank you for calling in. I really appreciate it, Simi. Top man. Thank you. Look, I want to thank every single person that has tuned into the show this morning. We're back later today with more content for you. Please get like buttons hit. Please make sure you're subscribing. And what's really, really important, and I know a lot of you have done it, and I know not everybody has done it yet. I know you like, I know you guys subscribe, but that button there, the notification button, get that turned on right now, people. Until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.